Hey guys, how's it going? So just a few days ago, a gun shop in Montana was raided and Form 4473 records were seized by the IRS. And of course, the ATF was part of this raid, as well as local police. Now, this just happened a couple days ago, but I'm going to talk about what happened here, report some of the facts of the matter, and also give my opinion because this is related to topics that we've been talking about on here for the last couple years. So to start off with, I was streaming late Friday night on my YouTube channel, as I do every Friday night. So make sure you're subscribed and click the notification if you want to be part of those really cool live streams that we do here. And during that time, Gateway Pundit reported an article talking about this raid and seizure of customers' very important and private information concerning firearms purchases. I'm going to leave a link to this article down there in the description. There's a congressman that got involved and is actively trying to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to leave a link to his letter he wrote, so make sure you check that description and share this video with as many people as you can, because we need to let people know what's going on here, and we need to talk about this and think about it. So back to what I was saying. I was doing my live stream Friday night. The story broke while I was live talking about other important issues, as we always do. And then the next morning, I checked my email. And my wife had sent me an email letting me know that this happened. She was reading the Gateway Pundit, apparently, before I had a chance to. And it's like IRS has raided a gun shop. Now, if we just went back just a few years ago, okay, that would have been startling and shocking, because the IRS isn't supposed to have purview over Form 4473s. They're not supposed to be doing anything like creating a firearms registry. Yeah, they've been one of the most feared agencies in the United States government for a long time, and they've been busted weaponizing their department against conservatives and many organizations, if you guys remember the congressional hearings a few years ago. So, yeah, it's been a weaponized agency, and pretty much everybody knows that. Now, if you had told me just a few years ago, though, the IRS was taking part in taking our guns, I might have paused for just a split second and then said, well, it is a government agency, and I don't trust bureaucrats. But when I read this Saturday, I just looked down and said, well, of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? I mean, there was a reason why the IRS is now adding 87,000 armed IRS agents, isn't there? Yeah. But go over this story a little bit here. In an unprecedented move, Gateway Pundit's reporting, 20 armed Internal Revenue Service and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF agents, carried out a raid on a gun store in Great Falls, Montana, seizing all 4473 forms. These are the documents that record buyers' information during firearms transactions. I have a copy of that form here. Hold on, we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, because I did a video when this new form was breaking news and a lot of the pitfalls and potential perjury traps that's involved in even buying a gun nowadays and filling out this form. Now, the owner's name is Tom Van Hoos. He's the owner of Highwood Creek Outfitters. He alleges that he's been under constant surveillance by state and federal agencies for the last 2 years, local station KRTV reported. So, early morning on Wednesday, he's coming in to open up his gun shop, right? He's been under investigation for a while. And he continues in a little bit and says why he thinks he was. And I want you guys to chime in and see why you think this guy's been targeted and what we should expect in the future from not only the ATF, but the IRS. I'll tell you guys point blank, I'm not surprised by any of this. I'm actually surprised this hasn't happened sooner. And I will be surprised if we don't see this continuing more and more and more throughout the United States. The agents reportedly arrived early in the morning as he was opening up for the day. 20 armed agents in combat gear carrying these AR-15 type rifles that they want to take away from us. Yeah. And the current former vice president just had a big powwow. Isn't this a coincidence? Right around the same time that they were doing this raid, talking about how they are coming after our guns, wanting to label all the common sporting rifles and just semi-automatic guns as assault weapons and take them. Okay? Biden's demanding this at the same time that the IRS and ATF and unfortunately local police are raiding and seizing your information, the information on what firearms you own, especially if you shopped at this local gun shop in Montana. Now, this has been confirmed by KMON Radio. It says, we have confirmed that both the IRS and ATF were at Highwood Creek Outfitters in Great Falls around 7 a.m. this morning. Both the IRS and ATF would not say why they were there, but we do have a quote here a little bit later, and this comes from IRS spokesperson. A spokesperson for the IRS would only say they were there on official IRS business. The ATF says it was providing assistance to the IRS. We attempted to enter the store today and were stopped by agents at the door who would only say the gun store is closed and will reopen tomorrow. Well, that's what happened when reporters tried to come in and see what's going on. Now, I don't know the particulars of any type of potential or alleged tax issues that may or may not be going on in this gun shop. But, in my opinion, and again, let me know down in the comments what you think, if the IRS is in the middle of a big investigation on somebody, you would presume that would be with financial matters, right? Wouldn't they be wanting financial records and things like that? No, actually, when we read more, we find out they weren't taking any of his financial records. It appears, as reported, that they only took the form of 4473s, which is the firearms transaction record. So, the IRS is there looking into, you would have assumed. Nowadays, you can't really assume anything. Hey, if it's a conspiracy theory, just wait a couple weeks and it will be confirmed that it's actually the truth. That seems to be the pattern of what's going on in our current dystopian reality right now in the United States or whatever country it is that these weaponized agencies are actually reporting to. I don't know. But no, they're not worried about the financial records according to this report. They just wanted the gun records. And of course the ATF was involved. According to the gun shop owner Hoos, the federal scrutiny began about 2 years ago and has involved various federal agencies, local and federal, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Of course, OSHA's involved. It wouldn't be a good powwow without them, right? The Department of Homeland Security and now the Internal Revenue Service. Wow. And I would add the ATF. Van Hoos claims that he was simply told his business had been reported, although he remains in the dark about who reported it or why. He believes the whole episode was politically motivated. Wow. It says he does sell certain styles of firearms that a lot of people don't like. And like I said, Biden's currently trying to ban, including ARs and AKs, and he calls them fun guns. And I agree, these are fun to shoot. The Great Falls Police Department has confirmed it was informed, about the investigation, and it was involved providing security. Local police. Wow. That's unfortunate. All these people taking oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution, which includes the Second Amendment, obviously. Fourth Amendments, Fifth Amendments, the whole Bill of Rights they swear an oath to. Seems like you're all too willing to take part in things like this, and that's pretty disturbing to me too. The Montana Department of Justice claims no involvement in the incident. An IRS spokesperson confirmed their presence in Highwood Creek Outfitters, but refrained from providing further details. Now, this did attract a politician, and it looks like this guy's on the ball and doing a pretty good job so far of trying to figure out what's going on. And this is Congressman Matt Rosendale, and he's already expressing concern over the IRS and ATF actions, interpreting them as another example of Biden's regime weaponization of federal agencies against hardworking Americans. The representative added, "I'm incredibly disturbed by initial reports that the IRS and ATF closed Highwood Creek Outfitters without any warning today. It wasn't long ago that something like this happened in Georgia. Do you guys remember that? I told you. I wasn't surprised. Like, literally, think about this. You're doing a live stream, breaking news breaks, read your email the next day. It's your wife saying, 'Darling, The IRS is raiding gun shops and stealing 4473s. Yeah. In America, you would think, well, that's impossible. How could they possibly do that? Well, in whatever we're living in now, I wasn't surprised at all. Like I said earlier, I said, well, of course they are. You mean they didn't do worse? That was the only thing I was shocked on. Like, how many dogs were killed? None? Whew. I mean, that's great news, obviously, but wow. Not even shocked by any of this. The representative adds, the weaponization of our government must be stopped, in all caps, which is why I sent a letter to ATF Director Dettelbeck and IRS Commissioner Werfel demanding answers about this outrageous attack, and have used every tool available to me to remove funding for the 87,000 additional IRS agents. Now, it wasn't long ago that the United States Congress went to make a move to defund these new 87,000 armed IRS agents. We're not talking pencil pushers here. We're talking apparently, see, we just got the answer, 87,000 armed agents to, for now, go to big gun shops and seize 4473s. Honest question for you. How long until they're going to be coming to your home looking to seize your firearms? I do wonder that, and I want to know what you guys think. They tried to stop it, but actually a bunch of Republicans came over with the Democrats and stopped them from their attempt to defund the IRS. You guys need to pay attention to how your public servants, these politicians in D.C., pay attention to how they're voting on these things, because as of right now, it doesn't look like the Congress is doing an adequate job or any kind of real effort to stop this crazy overreach of the IRS. Although we did have a victory in the House recently against the ATF and the pistol brace ban rule, and it is actually going to get voted on in the Senate, I think, guys. I can do another quick story on that here soon, too. So here's the facts of the matter. 20 armed IRS agents raid Great Falls gun store. They didn't take any financial or accounting or tax statements, but they did take all the Form 4473s. Now we know why the 87,000 IRS agents are for, right? Now, I'm going to put at the end of this the letter so you guys can pause it and read it. Also, make sure you check that description because I'm going to leave a link to the letter by the congressman where he does make some excellent demands, and I'll read a couple of them real quick here. He's demanding and asking for a response to these questions. What was the purpose of entering and closing Highwood Creek Outfitters? What evidence did the ATF and IRS have prior to arriving at Highwood Creek Outfitters, and how was this evidence collected? Does ATF or IRS have any other plans to conduct similar activities at other firearms-related businesses in Montana? I have that question too, and I have a suspicion that I know the answer, unfortunately. Montana and many other states, probably. Why do the ATF and IRS believe such a large armed police presence was necessary? Yeah, talk about outnumbering a guy. 20 armed agents with backup support from local police and another federal agency? Yeah, I'm sure you're not surprised at that either. Has the Biden administration expressed support for increasing in-person agency activities at firearms-related businesses? How much have the ATF and IRS spent to conduct similar activities at firearms-related businesses? Good question, because this kind of tyranny and overreach is actually paid for by all of you. Yeah, unfortunately, all of us pay for them to do this stuff. Why did the IRS take Highwood Creek Outfitters 4473s, and what does the IRS intend to do with them? Good question. Do the ATF and IRS believe it is within the legal rights of the IRS to take Highwood Creek Outfitters 4473s? And then he concludes and says, I remind both the IRS and ATF that Congress has the power of the purse, and I will work to ensure that funding for these agencies is not weaponized against the American people. Sincerely, Matthew M. Rosendale Sr., Member of Congress, and he is a United States representative representing that area of Montana. Form 4473, I'll link you guys to a video I did on this when it first came out last year, and it did go into effect earlier this year. This has very intimate and personal information, not only about the firearms, which are here prevalently on the front, allegedly so the ATF can scan these easier, and according to the GOA, the ATF was busted within the past year making an illegal registry by scanning these in, and there's lots of information on that too. Now, it also has some of your most personal and intimate details, like your full name, your address, your city. They also want to know now if you reside within the city limits, probably so they know which local police they would need to assist them if they're coming for you, in my opinion. Your state, your zip code, your county, your parish, your place of birth, whether it was in the United States or a foreign country, your height, your weight, your sex, which I would note now, this has to be a woke form as well, does include male, female, and non-binary. Your birth date, your social security number, which is optional, but I'm sure a lot of people put their social on there. I know the IRS loves to use people's socials for cross-referencing and for everything to do with your financials. Your UPIN if you have one. They want to know your ethnicity. I didn't think you could use race when it came to any type of federal stuff with anything else, but here they're still allowed to ask you, are you Hispanic or Latino? Not Hispanic or Latino. Are you American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, or are you white? They can ask that on this form. Your country of citizenship. Then they ask you a whole bunch of questions. Okay, big criminal penalties if you answer any of these falsely. Some of the scary things in this new form is, do you intend to purchase or acquire a firearm listed on this form? And any continuation sheets or ammunition. Wait, this is a firearms transaction record, and they're basically asking you, do you intend to ever dispose of this, which means sell, give, or otherwise transfer the firearm to any person subscribed in these sections, which would be prohibited people. Well, how the heck are you going to know if you were to sell ammo to somebody that's prohibited in the future when you're not law enforcement? You don't have access to the FBI database to check their criminal record. So, yeah, in good faith, you're thinking to yourself, no, of course I don't intend to sell that to these people. But how do you know who the heck you could ever sell a gun or ammunition to? Goes on to have other questions about whether you ever intend to sell or otherwise dispose of a firearm of ammunition to other people who would be prohibited. They snuck that in there, and it's a big, big deal on this new 4473 form. Now the IRS has all of the 4473 forms from this Montana gun shop, and how many other gun shops do you think they're going to go to? Because for some reason, the IRS, who is now in the process of hiring and has already hired many of 87,000 armed agents, feel they need these forms for whatever reason that have all of your details, all of your particulars, where they would know exactly what guns you bought. If they were to come for them, they would know exactly where to go, down to the minute details. Are you in the city limit? They even need to know that. Perjury traps on here, in my opinion, where you could believe you're telling the truth to something here, but you would have no way of knowing. Where ammunition? There's ammunition now. They're asking you about whether you would dispose of ammunition. Dispose of doesn't mean throw it away in this case. It means transfer it to somebody else. Even though in some states they do, but in most states there's no background check for ammunition. And even if there was, how would you know who you're selling to? I guess you'd ask them and have to take their word in good faith. But if they're lying to you, does that now mean you're lying on this? Well, the ATF is not supposed to be able to keep any kind of record of all this stuff. I don't know if the IRS, if that's a loophole where the IRS, maybe they think they can now start to keep some type of registry or log of transactions. Look, there is an aspect of this that has to do with, obviously, allegedly, there's an investigation of them alleging there might be something incongruent with the financials, we'll just say, of this gun shop. And I don't know anything about that, quite frankly. But I don't need to know anything about that. If you're the IRS and you're looking to see if somebody was committing some type of crime with their taxes, okay, wouldn't you look at financials? Because there's nothing on this form 4473 anywhere that says how much the gun was sold for. If it was even sold for like anything at all. I mean, these guns could have been sold by this gun shop owner that are on the 4473s for $1, $1,000, $100. You don't know that because that information's not even on here. So the fact that they're just looking into typical official IRS business, like they claimed in their brief statement, doesn't pass the sniff test when they confiscated the firearms transaction reports and forms and records from the gun shop. And according to the owner of the gun shop, they didn't even take the stuff that you would think the IRS would be interested in. I know this was a little bit longer video, but make sure you guys check out the description for some of these resources I've talked about. And also make sure you check out my locals community, which is another site, censorship free, where I do weekly live streams, including just last night where I touch guns on there live and do all kinds of extra content that you guys are missing out on. You can join locals totally free, or you can become a supporter to help keep this channel financially going. Alright guys, chime in the comments and let me know. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.